So if someone asked me what I'm doing here in Mexico for 9 or 10 days, it would be a long-winded answer, but the short version of it is having the time of my life. Basically, we're running Raptors, bone stock, some of them, street legal trucks from the US-Mexican border almost to the southern tip of Baja and taking the long way, which is the fun way.
How to explain what it is tough. You know, everyone thinks it's, just kind of an off-roading trip, but it's so much more than that. You know, we really kind of immerse ourselves in the culture of Baja, Mexico, and I had no idea, even being from California, that it was two states down here. It was Baja and Baja Sur, and really see the kind of the cultural differences as you make your way down the peninsula. And it's that, but mixed in with some fun off-roading, and it's the best of both worlds for a vacation.
Completely different than anything you can find stateside. There's still a lot of off-roading in Texas with the Texas Raptor runs and now the Morpho Raptor runs and everything else, and this is still just a whole nother ballpark of beautiful scenery and great trails and off-roading.
So we're doing two things. One is we're very much enjoying and seeing the environment of the peninsula, Baja California, and we're seeing it again in a very safe way, and we're doing it behind the wheel of a very capable truck, and we're going places and driving roads that a good number of people wouldn't necessarily see. And
it's not just dirt. I mean, this is some of the most beautiful scenery that you're going to see ever. I can't think of a time that I saw as much beautiful views as I did just going to see the Sea of Cortez or popping up to the beach. Yeah, you definitely don't see that beach in Texas, so it's an awesome trip.
We call this the Baja Raptor Run, but it's not just about the Raptors. It's more about Baja, and the Raptor is just one other tool that we use to get there. We experience the culture, we experience the food, we experience interacting with the people that live in Baja, and we try to broaden everybody's horizon about their viewpoint on Baja California.
One of the reasons I bought my first Raptor, which was a 2014 Gen 1 Raptor, I mean, this thing competed in Baja, finished, placed, stock. So it's just like, I got to get this truck. Not really knowing what Baja was all about, just, the advertisement for it, lured me in. So now you're actually here, fast forward about 9 years later in a few different Raptors. Just to kick that truck into Baja mode, for the first time, and you're in Baja, it's just an unreal feeling. I'm not going to Starbucks, just kicking the Baja exhaust around, get a couple of coffees, but kicking it in Baja, in the Raptor R drive modes, it's amazing the way it just purrs coming around the corners.
the Raptor was built for off-road, high-speed, desert racing, adventure, etc. And it's really great for us that enjoy them in our day-to-day lives to take them into this environment and really see what they're capable of and actually transport us from a nice quaint city to a remote beach that we can enjoy and bask in the sun and enjoy the camaraderie of new friends. It's just a really great adventure, and the Raptor is probably the best vehicle for it.
My truck's been in Baja mode every day down here. I don't think I've taken it off once. I just start the truck and it just says return to Baja, and that's what the truck was made for. The terrain was perfect out here. We get a little bit of everything, kind of like some slow technical rock crawling, and then an hour later you're doing 75 miles an hour through a whole bunch of cactus and stuff.
Honestly, one of the things that sold me on the Ford Raptor was the fact that in 2010, when it first came out, they took it down here before they released it to the general public and ran the Baja 1000 with with a big fuel tank, a self fuel tank, but a stock truck. And then again in 2016-17 with the Gen 2 Raptor. So when the Gen 3 came out, I was sold. I was just waiting for it to come out and put an order in, and almost the same day kind of signed up for this.
When I first bought the Raptor, I thought that was it. I wouldn't do anything to it. I would be the grocery store Starbucks guy. You know, you have the guys that are just stick to the pavement and the ones that like to test the limits in the dirt, and to be able to really solidify that the Raptor is fully capable of all the hype. It's kind of hard to put into words, but it's something that I truly cherish, and I'll continue to do this until I can.
We drove highway most of the way from Mexicali down into Guerrero Negro, but we take a short detour across the Laguna Chapala dry lake bed where some of these raptors can get out and show their legs and show what they've got. And I think the highest speed that we got on that lake bed was 109 miles an hour, which may or may not be topped later in the trip.
The dry lake bed was fun. That's something that you always see in all the Texas Raptor Runs videos, and I was really hopeful and glad that we got to do it on this run. I think a lot of people were saying that they were getting upwards of about 100 miles an hour on the lake bed. There was definitely a very large area to do that in, and it was extremely safe. There was no terrain or obstacles there. It was absolutely a blast, not something you could do anywhere else.
The first day we had a slight detour off the paved road, which was a very welcome detour. You know, it was a long day on the pavement, which is understandable, and went a detour off and found a lake bed, and the lake bed was recently filled with water, as we were told, and it was evidenced by the cracking in the lake bed. And so we had a couple quick runs on the lake bed, but what a beautiful, safe environment to do that in, and it was really fun to be out there with the guys and experience that in the midst of our driving south that day.
We got to about 114, then we lifted.
I don't even think I broke 100. I was like 199 right there.
The dry lake bed was a fun experience because we were going down a trail and then all of a sudden it just opens up into this couple mile long stretch of lake bed, and yeah, I think all of us were kind of rearing to go as day one, and they got in the line and started going, yeah, 100, 110 miles an hour as fast as the trucks would let us go.
Hey Trey, is this part of the Baja 1000 course? I have it on my map for some reason.
Correct. Just a little ways back, it dives off. You can't see from this way, but it goes up to the left and over these mountains.
That's cool.
Day 2, we did a section of dirt that we found a couple years ago. That's really fun. I would consider it pretty low risk. There's not a lot to go wrong. It's just really fast, sandy roads, like you're ripping by the big saguaro cactus and clipping down. It was our first day on the dirt. It was a good introduction to everyone to what kind of dirt and how we communicate on the radio and do all that sort of stuff.
Getting a little bit more technical and tricky, right? And I think that's kind of the Raptor being my first truck. This is why I wanted to come down here with a group of people that have done this before, especially Trey that's done this, for 10 years. I wouldn't feel comfortable doing this alone. So I told, my father-in-law, James, who's with me, like, this is the perfect time to do this. We have experienced drivers, we have new drivers, but we also have people on the radio telling us to look out for certain things or be more careful in certain spots. So yeah, it was a technical day on day 2, and it was still fun, felt safe, never felt scared, but definitely challenged.
One thing that's really cool about this adventure is that there's so many different types of terrain and landscapes, and it could literally be around one turn. There's been a few times that we either came around the side of a hill or crested a mountain, and it's like, wow, there's the Sea of Cortez, or there's some oasis filled with palm trees. I don't even know how many different types of cactuses that I probably have never seen in my life. And I spend a lot of time in the desert, and there's some landscape down here that is incredibly diverse, and you never know what's around the next turn.
When I first was gonna come here, I asked my wife if she wanted to go with me. And her first reaction was, that sounds awesome, but I don't know if I want to ride in a truck all day. That's just kind of what she thought about it, and that's kind of what we thought. But I had a little bit more, education, because I saw the videos, kind of what was going to happen. But to see the cave paintings, and I think if I remember right, Trey said that was like 13,000 years ago or something. They kind of put a guess to it. But you kind of see the culture of Baja and Baja, Mexico, and to see something that old, and even the old missionaries, a couple of places we stayed, we were at the squares and they had some old missionaries there. It was nice to see that and the culture.
Where we are in Lake Tahoe, we've got vast desert, very, very close proximity to us. Within 20 minutes, we can drive for miles and miles and miles. So we were expecting some of that, but really our attraction was some of the local and cultural activities that we would do, such as the cave paintings, which are really, really neat. And I would say those are things that very few visitors to Mexico would experience. And that was a very nice walk, and then to enjoy that is just phenomenal for us.
I think I remember they were saying that those cave paintings are probably like 11,000 years old or something like that, and it's kind of crazy how well preserved they are. Like, they're still extremely fresh, you could see everything. You can see all the details, and then you just move over a little bit and you can actually go deeper into some caves, or you can go hiking up a little bit higher. It's crazy how untouched a lot of the environment is here.
Being able to see those paintings and take that piece of history in, taking that hike to the top was a moment just to pause and look and really just kind of breathe everything in that's around you. Those moments are equally, if not more important than what we're doing out here. So I think it's just a chance to really kind of blank slate and take in where you're at.
It goes back to me maybe being a little ignorant to what I expected on this trip, but getting to see some very old cave paintings that show the history of this place. That's really cool.
To think that there were settlers or some type of indigenous people here that long ago in this terrain is just crazy to think about. We have the heat, the weather, the animals, all of these things that must have been a huge challenge for them, but to come and see that the paintings that are still there from that old was an awesome experience.
Day 3, we started in San Ignacio and we went to Mulegé Canyon. It's like 70 miles of pretty challenging dirt. We had a fun day, even with all the tough terrain. Like we didn't have any issues. We just had a good time.
We don't really throw out there the plan for each day on where we're going to go. We get up in the morning and leave wherever we stayed the night before, and the staff knows where we're going, but the clients don't really know. We tell them where we're going to stay the next night, but the path we take to get there, we try to make as adventurous as possible and bring some surprises to them as we go along the trail.
It was so rocky, it was so technical driving up the mountain, navigating down the mountain, and you don't realize the difference in terrain, but it was exhilarating and fun at the same time.
That's the adventure. You look out around you, nothing around except for Baja, desert, you got water, cactus, etc. You're just getting from point A to point B. And if something happens along the way where you can't go that way, then we find another way, and that's the joy of it.
The weather changing, and not necessarily seeing the weather, but just the landscape changing so drastically in what seems like, maybe 20, 30, 40, 50 miles is part of the reason that we wanted to come down here. It's not just one big homogeneous land peninsula. It's everything changes from one day to the next. And I think that canyon run was a little bit of a challenge for a lot of people at first, just because it was fairly rocky. So it was a lot slower. The previous day we'd been going 70, 80, 90 miles an hour on these big wide open roads, to where we had to slow it down to maybe 20 to 30 on these rocks. And I got to try the different modes out in the Raptor and rock crawl, off-road, Baja, and kind of compare them and find the setting that worked best for the truck. And in Texas we don't have terrain like that. It gives me a good chance to kind of really learn what the truck is capable of, as well as myself as a driver.
Rivers are a big attractor to me, so to be able to get to spend some time and cross a few rivers down here was really cool. And a little reprieve from the heat, which we actually didn't have such hot days. I thought it was going to be hotter than it was, but still getting to slow down, enjoy the scenery of the river, and have lunch riverside.
We stopped in the riverbed to have a lunch in an interesting spot that showed where the river moved its way down the mountain and cut its way down to the sea.
The water crossings is my favorite part. The rock's a little rough, but it's fun for sure. Get put a four-wheel drive and get to see what these trucks can do, so it's awesome.
This is a beautiful spot. I actually grabbed a really great picture of all the Raptors and this awesome scenery and the curve in the river. So this whole day actually has probably been the most scenic in my opinion so far. So it's been excellent.
We're gonna try out a hike that we've never done through a slot canyon full of water.
One of the things about our trips is we always include a rest day. So our first rest day was in Loreto. Part of the group went to, I think it's called El Mesquite Canyon, which is the slot canyon you can hike up, and there's swimming holes and stuff. And Hudson took part of the group there, and I think it was pretty challenging. I think they got their butts kicked, but it looked like a really pretty spot. So maybe when I'm feeling froggy, I'll go out there myself.
Yeah, we already did our warm up the other day, climbing the mountain, the 6 mile hike down. Yeah, so we should be pretty good. Did 3 push-ups this morning, so we should be okay.
Phenomenal experience. First time for the group ever to kind of hike and wade through Mesquite Canyon. You know, we went from wading knee-deep water to chest-deep water to actually full-on swimming through that canyon. That was probably the highlight of the trip for me. Just a phenomenal adventure, and seeing that the water was flowing down through that canyon and washing those sandstone walls for thousands of years, and then it terminated into the ground and just disappeared. That was a really, really fun trip.
Did some hiking in Ireland and Scotland, and it's funny because Baja California, just how beautiful it is and how open the skies are, and these little creeks and stuff is beautiful. Reminds me of kind of that. So this is awesome. I'm glad Hudson had this idea to come check this out. The water is super clear and it's amazing. We followed Hudson in it, looking for a magical waterfall towards the end. We had a great adventure, fell on my butt lots of times, wore the wrong footwear for a hike, but we went in about 3.5 miles, and we went through areas, like I said, we were chest deep. We had to swim through it. There were spots on the up high on the canyon where we could jump in to the water and do some cannonballs. Water was super cold. It was more than I expected, and it was a little bit tiring. You know, it was about a 4 or 5 hour hike. There was a good amount of guys that went on us with us. I think it was about 10 in the morning, and we got back about 5. I know we caught the guys at the hotel, and they're like, "Where you been?" And they're like, "Yeah, we've been on the hike all day long." But it was a good experience. Haven't done that before, so it's something, you know, I can put a feather in my hat. Now, I don't know if I'll follow Hudson again on another hike, but it was awesome.
This is my first Baja Raptor run, and so far I'm liking it. I'm feeling good. The truck's doing well. I mean, I didn't come down here to prove anything. I'm not the guy that's like gonna show how big I can jump it, but it's been a fun adventure. I think Trey does a really good job of making it more about the adventure, not about a race, and I appreciate that. We have a rough idea of, like, we know where we are today, we know where we're gonna get to tonight, but we don't have any idea of how we're gonna get there, so the adventure and the surprise of the drive has been really awesome.
So from Loreto, we went down and took a road out of a little town called Las Positas to La Paz, which basically went across the peninsula and then down the Sea Cortez and came into La Paz on the dirt. And I've never done it before, and I'm always leery about taking customers on roads I haven't seen myself, but this was one of those where the risk was far outweighed to the reward. When you think of like breathtaking, epic Baja dirt, this was it. The road was really fun, and then it got a little challenging, and then you end up El Mochudo, and it's this rock formation like right on the Sea Cortez, and you came around this corner and like everything falls out below you, and there's the water and this beautiful rock formation, and it just was absolutely breathtaking.
You know, the canyon opens up and you see the Sea Cortez, and I immediately, you know, called out on the radio, "Hey, we need to stop. You know, this is like paradise." So we stopped, took a few pictures, and it was just amazing, almost, you know, breathtaking when you come in and you just see the beautiful blue water and the different shades of the blue and green water.
I think there was one corner where we came around this corner and it was just, you know, a cliff and views and ocean on the left. I believe there's the Sea of Cortez. You had to kind of slow down just so you could take the view in so that you could keep your truck on the road. The beauty out here is just never ending. After every corner, it's just something different. From what I hear from Trey and the rest of the gang that comes out here often, it's even changing from time to time. Y'all come down here, so it's always something new.
I was worried, but it's because I wasn't driving. My co-pilot, thinking he's running the Baja 1000, it's an exhilarating feeling because it's a lot of beauty, but at the same time, you know you still have to keep your wits about you. You have to stay focused on what you're doing. Because even though we're being cautious, I think we're all still trying to take it at a decent pace. Kind of keep up that tempo and just that excitement.
This was some entirely new terrain for a lot of our customers who came from Texas, who don't have this exposure on the side of the trail. This was going up over the top of a mountain ridge and then down and appearing and seeing the vista of the Silla Cortez out in front of you.
So I made sure I drove today because I heard Trey say something. This is one of his favorite drives, was going down to what he calls Birthday Beach. And it's the most amazing, clear blue water you can imagine. We hung out there for 3, 4, 5 hours. It was awesome. We had all the trucks lined up. We had chairs. We had Frisbee, football. Enjoying the scenery. Trey's got Wi-Fi off of his truck. I know my wife got a little agitated because she's like, you keep calling me and you're at all these awesome places. Just stop already. So, but the beach was amazing.
The beach was definitely the highlight of the trip. I was waiting and it was definitely worth it. I knew going through all the canyon roads, some of them were kind of scary. I'm a little bit afraid of heights, but the beach at the end of it was absolutely worth it. The weather was beyond perfect. The water was nice and great. You know, some of the guys were playing football on the beach. We were playing around with the kite. That was fun to learn how to do because I've never done that before.
Unless you have a truck capable like the Raptor, these are beaches that no one else in the world is ever going to get to come to. So to drive on this beach, park all next to each other and just get to hang out for 3 or 4 hours, I really had to soak it in, right? It was something that you don't get to appreciate unless you just kind of take the time to do so. And then obviously we had some fun. We flew some kites, got to swim. I think someone had a paddle board. So I'm glad we got to do that. And I was from day one, I was telling Trey, I was like, hey, are we going to stop at a beach? Are we going to stop at a beach? So I've been waiting to stop on the beach. So I was excited about that.
It wasn't a crowded beach. There was actually one other person that was on the beach, and you have the whole beach to yourself after a long day of driving. We had a lunch break. It was very cool. Enjoyed it.
The greatest part of that was the scenery, being right on the Silla Cortez and overlooking the sea was just a beautiful, beautiful drive, and seeing the beaches in front of us and hoping that we were going to go visit one, and sure enough we did, and we were there for the better part of 4 hours, and we had the Frisbees flying and kites, and my son was able to inflate his stand-up paddleboard and paddleboard around in the Silla Cortez. That was just a beautiful day. Really, really fun.
I was excited on the idea of getting to drive to some basically white sand beach that there wasn't anyone else around and get to enjoy Baja. Going into this trip, I was like, well, what are we gonna do if we do find a beach? My brother's really into kites. He sent me a recommender one to buy, and Birthday Beach was the first time I've ever used the kite. It was apparent right after pulling it out that a lot of the other guys were interested and wanted to try it out, so I found myself being the kite instructor for the day.
Trent had a stunt kite, and they got that up. We were flying a stunt kite around. It wasn't much wind, but it was fun. I think everyone's a better driver than they are a stunt kite pilot, but it was a good time.
When you're going, it's hard to appreciate what you're doing, so those moments, those pauses are a really nice way to just take it all in and realize you're here. Like you're doing, for what I think a lot of us are, a dream trip. So very cool.
We had a rest day in Los Barriles, and we used that to go visit the waterfall in Sol de Mayo, which is just a spectacular spot. It's one of the places that you don't know unless you've got some people that know where things are in Baja. We went in there, and a lot of people were jumping off the waterfall, doing tricks off the waterfall, and we even saw Victor jump off the waterfall.
I've been to some really cool places. I've been to Hawaii when it seems similar to that, but never have I been somewhere where, you hike and look behind you and the ocean is there, the sea is there, the cactus are there, and then you walk 5 minutes and you're in a lagoon. The hike was only, 10, 15 minutes, very easy to get to. It was kind of this gem, right there in the middle of Baja. So it was kind of mind-blowing how accessible it was, and just kind of this little oasis in the middle of Baja.
just see this beautiful place just kind of appear before your eyes. It was what this whole trip is about, I think. You know, it's the unexpected, both adventure-wise, but in beauty-wise too. So I think, yeah, that was just an amazing spot right there that not a lot of people, I think, could probably say they've ever been to.
I grew up around a lot of pro athletes that are much crazier than me, so that was a small waterfall, and I normally am the scared guy. So it was cool being on the other end of that, because it was a fun height, like you probably can't kill yourself height, but it still hurts when you land the wrong way. It was basically an oasis that I have no idea how someone found that, because the terrain around it would never kind of reveal that there is this awesome river with a waterfall into a beautiful swimming hole in the middle of nowhere. But awesome way to spend a day. I really appreciate the rest or down days that we have here, because we do a lot of driving, and the driving is why we're here. But again, enjoying the culture, enjoying where we're at, enjoying, you know, the rest of the environment is really cool.
Going through sand dunes, so I recommend four-wheel drive.
Every time we go to the beach in San Juanico, everyone feels the need to drag race and get in a pissing contest. And this trip was no different. And we ran into some guys that are down here playing around too, that have some actual like tube chassis, like race style pre-runners, and they sort of popped into where we were set up and decided they'd get in on this drag race. So they lined up and drag raced the Raptor R.
Alright, yeah, that got interesting. Let's see it, Morgan, I'm waiting.
It's funny that you can have two guys with the exact same truck, but then there is going to be a contest. And I was running radios for a little bit with the handheld on, you know, calling the races. It's so funny to me, but guys are gonna be guys. We're still just big kids playing with our big toys.
Going for a little fun. Gonna race a Gen 3 here with this Raptor R, see how it performs.
Oh man, it was awesome just to get a off-road truck that high and that fast and just in total control, and here in Baja on the beach. It's amazing.
That beach run is something that I think we all wanted to do, so it was nice being able to, you know, put the pedal down right next to the beach, going up against a different Gen Raptor. I've learned a lot about my truck on this trip too. Putting in manual, doing paddle shifting is something I hadn't done historically, so getting more familiar with that was really cool. And I mean, just to be able to say that, you know, I ripped my truck up and down the Baja coast is, I mean, that's just a memory I'll never forget.
We're at the school in San Juanico. We're going to drop off some school supplies and sports equipment that we brought down with us from the States. Just trying to give back and help, leave a little more in Baja than we came with. So
we have a bunch of school supplies for the kids at the school here in Scorpion Bay. We've got scissors, pencils, pens, workbooks, paper, colored paper, all kinds of stuff the kids need to get a good education.
Giving back to the local community, we all kind of donated some school supplies, sports supplies, stuff like that for the local school here in San Juanico, and super excited to see the reactions on these kids' faces.
I know that there are other companies that offer similar experiences, and I was really impressed with Trey's respect for not only the country but the culture, and every single town that we go into. And even on this trip, we all brought supplies for some small schools to try to give back. And Trey's been very clear about that. He's not down here just to take, he wants to give when you're in the country, because he's so passionate about this area. I think he really does, like, he probably identifies as a Mexican or a Baja, because I think he feels more comfortable down here than he does at home, and it shows.
Slow down for town.
Sometimes we drive through, you know, housing areas or ranch areas where, you know, I doubt anyone in the States would like it if we were doing 80 miles an hour past their front door. So obviously we got to slow down. We got to respect the locals. And overall, they appreciate us coming and visiting their country, and we got to show them the respect that we do respect their country and we do respect their property, and we're not going to do anything to cause harm or trouble here.
We parked for a little bit. A bunch of kids ran up to the trucks. We were able to give them some Baja Raptor coloring books, give them some footballs, some crayons, stuff like that. Kids just running up getting stickers. It's awesome. So especially we gave them a football Americano, so watch them throw the football around, and that's kind of cool.
We've been doing these trips for 10 years, and we've brought hundreds and hundreds of people down here and showed them Baja for these last 10 years. And you come down here and it changes you. It does. It changes you as a person. Like you have a different perspective when you leave. So it's really fun and neat that we've taken all these people down here and none of them leave with the same perspective on life that they got down here. So even if just that part of it, for me, like, is enough to really make an impact in someone's life, show them an adventure and show them another part of the world they wouldn't have otherwise seen.
When I first committed to this trip, I didn't know what to expect. And a side of it to me thought it might be a bunch of guys just trying to show off how tough their trucks were, and it was just hardcore off-roaders just with the sole point of proving something. And pretty early on, I think it was day 2, it was clear to me that that was not only the point. There's a lot of texture and grit and adventure to this that goes well beyond just how cool your truck is or how fast you can drive. I'm very fortunate that I've been able to do a lot of cool things. I honestly feel like this week is going to be one of those memories that is going to stand out above pretty much everything else I've done. And that's saying something. It's a really cool experience, and it's one that's going to stay with me.
If you like driving off-road, and if you've been thinking about doing this trip, do it. You will have zero regrets. I've been off-roading 10 years. I don't know why it took me so long to come down here with Trey, but if you're on the fence, hop over it. I mean, this thing is awesome. Great experience, great time, great people, completely safe. It's been just an amazing trip.
One of the beauties of this trip is all you need to do is bring your well-equipped truck, your ice chest, maybe with some drinks and a lunch, and they take care of the rest. The group does a phenomenal job of arranging the route for us and arranging the hotels and dinners, and you really just show up with a great attitude and ready for adventure. To do this on your own would be an arduous task, and it'd be a very unknown thing. In this environment, you just jump in and everyone's smiling and having a great time. And
never knew how capable these trucks were, and I'm glad that someone like Trey could put something together that allows people to do it in a manner that is safe, fun, and this is a trip I'll remember forever.
I go on 3 Raptor runs a year with Trey and the rest of the crew in Hudson, and they are the highlights of my year. Coming down and getting to spend time down in Baja with not only our staff, but as well as the people that we visit. We've made friends along the way in each different town. We've got at least one person who we can go to and handshake, slap on the back, and say it's good to see you again. And that really is important to us, that we've established these connections. One of my favorite things is actually being able to show Baja California to all the new people that come down here. Baja is a part of my life for 30 years, and I'd like to impart at least a little bit of that appreciation to the customers that we bring down.
Pretty tired today. We're Bay of LA, watching the sun kind of go down. I think it's day 9 of our 10-day trip, so it's been a really fun journey, really fun trip. A lot of great people, really easy group, and we just had a great time. Ready to go home.
It was exciting though. I had a great time. The road was good, the dirt was really good, and we didn't have any water this time. so it was just a completely different trip, but I enjoyed it very much.
Amazing place to end the trip. This is like one of the most beautiful views I've ever seen. I can't even compare it. I mean, I've been to Greece, and this is almost better, so I'm ecstatic.
Experience was beyond amazing. I can't wait to come back, and I'm already sad that the trip is over. So I need Trey to start releasing the schedule so we can come back and plan for the next one.
say it was a lifetime experience, but it's gonna happen again. It's hard to pick. You know, meeting new people is exciting. Giving the the supplies to the kids, was very eye-opening. Just got a little bit choked up for a moment. So just really awesome to be able to give back.
Sad to end it, but we'll be back next year. I loved this group. It was a good group.
Amazing scenery, amazing views. One of my favorite parts though is probably meeting the locals, the kids, seeing the smile on their faces when we roll through town. They're all wanting us to rev up our motors, and then the looks on their faces when we bring stuff to them. That was probably a highlight of my trip.
I got stuck in the mud. We were trying a new route, and so somebody had to do it, and being the lightest truck, and I figured I'd give it a go. And sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.
In Spanish, me llamo Trent y soy de Reno, Nevada, y me gusta Mexico.
I think I'm faster than Christian. I don't think he's the fastest driver in Baja.
Got a coffee? Got a coffee? Got a cocktail? Got a cocktail?
I'm telling you right now, if you're on the fence about going to Baja, jump over it. Go get your truck or go buy you a Raptor, buy you an off-road vehicle, and get your butt down here. Take it to train to get outfitted, and then get your butt down here in Baja. This trip is awesome. We will not regret it.